Welcome to the Modern Homesteading Podcast.
We have allowed ourselves to become so disconnected and ignorant about something that is as intimate as the food that we eat.
Be prepared to grow your own for victory.
God said, I need somebody strong enough to clear trees and heave bales, yet gentle enough to yean lambs and wean pigs and tend the pink-combed pullets who will stop his mower for an hour to splint the broken leg of a meadowlark. So God made a farmer.
Hello and welcome to the Modern Homesteading Podcast. I'm your host, Harold Thornbrough from smalltownhomestead.com, and it is day 14 of our 30 days of homesteading Q&A, where I have reached out to some of the best bloggers and podcasters in the homesteading space to answer your questions about homesteading. And today's question is, I'm not sure how I feel about the whole prepping thing. What are some realistic situations where I could possibly need 3 months worth of food stored up? Great question, and I understand someone being hesitant in saving up, storing up 3 months worth of food. I'm not so sure that number really matters. For some people, they may feel like they just need a few weeks. Some people may think they need 6 months or a year worth of food. And but what are some real situations? I mean, maybe you don't believe that the zombies are going to attack or something like that, like you read about. But is prepping some out of this world abnormal thing that only weird people do? Or is it something that really everyone should do? Well, here answering today's question is Jo Rellime from HomesteadChronicles.com. And Joe's going to give us some very realistic and even describe a personal situation on why prepping for disaster should be something you should consider. So, Joe, would you help us out with this? What are some things we should be prepping for?
Thanks for having me, Harold. It's my pleasure. In case you missed it, folks, I'm Joe from HomesteadChronicles.com. And oh boy, for me, this is a powerful question because Eddie and I have lived it ourselves. We are neither alarmists nor conspiracy theorists, and no, we don't believe that there's an imminent pandemic looming or that the zombies are coming. So I'm not surprised that you have a hard time wrapping your head around this prepping thing. Took me a while to get on board, too. But yes, I can think of at least one situation that isn't just realistic. It happens every single day. And maybe it will or already has happened to you or someone you know. If it has happened to you and you aren't remembering it, then you're lucky. You're very fortunate. You had to have had some help from somewhere. So let me tell you my story. Because I'm the perfect example. And if you see yourself anywhere in this story, either in your past or in your future, then you'll have the most realistic situation that there is to convince you that it is time to start. I am 55 years old, college educated, and have been working consistently since 1977. In my 30s and 40s, I owned my own home, drove new cars, and raised my son on my own. We never wanted for anything. We had nice clothes, regular vacations, a healthy retirement account, lots of food in the house, and even the occasional porterhouse or lamb chop. Good insurance, karate lessons, best daycare center in town, and still got to eat out several nights a week. And, of course, I was stopping at my local grocery store at least twice a week. But then I got sick. And soon after I lost it all. First the job, then all my savings, then the house, then the car. Gone. I thought surely I was going to get better and be able to go back to work, so I never applied for disability. I had vascular disease, and I fought like crazy to beat it, but I eventually lost. I suffered my first heart attack at 48, but then I found a good cardiologist and got better. Then I met and married Eddie. I was able to return to work, but I had to work from home, and it took a year just to find that job. But by fall of 2012, my health had deteriorated again, and arthritis had set in. I was no longer able to work at all. I was forced to leave my career forever. Eddie hasn't had a raise in 10 years because of union contracts, so now we have to get by as best we can on one income, and we have massive medical bills to boot. I applied for Social Security disability, but to me, it's something I'd been paying into all my life. It had been set aside just for me and my care, and I was denied twice so far. I had to get a lawyer, and that battle's not over yet. Yeah, this is all very personal information, and you may be wondering why I'm sharing it, but it's important to remember that if it can happen to me, it can happen to you, no matter what your age or your current health. Illness and or joblessness can strike anyone at any time, and it doesn't require a natural disaster, a pandemic, terrorist attack, or some other community-wide calamity to bring it on. What it does is it devastates just one household at a time, and that next one could be yours. It could be short-term, like maybe 3 months, or it could be for the rest of your life. Think about that one for a minute. Anyway, we have had to sacrifice a lot of things that we used to take for granted. For example, we need a new furnace, but instead we heat our home with a buck stove and firewood. We grow our own vegetables and some fruits and preserve it for winter use. And we buy only fresh dairy meats and staples at the store. And only when they're on sale and or if we have coupons. We've cut many luxuries out, such as traveling, eating out, movies, family gifts, all that's gone. But had it not been for our stash, we would have been in the food pantry lying down in the local church basement by January of 2013, which was nearly 3 years ago, and we'd still be going there to this day. Instead, we started hitting up our stash and cooking from scratch, which is better for my health anyway. Our supplies have dwindled somewhat since we had to start using it for daily meals, but we've learned to shop smart, buy smart, cook smart, grow what we can, and to preserve that food and rotate the stock. We haven't starved, and we've not had to ask anyone for help. Fact remains, we found ourselves in this boat because Mama here took ill and couldn't work anymore. So there is your realistic situation that calls for prepping. Even brief periods of unemployment and or illness is all it takes to make you very thankful for any food you banked while you still could. And if 3 months' worth is all that you can afford, well, you should be able to weather at least a short-term financial crisis. Even 3 weeks without a paycheck is too long for many families. It's really no different from the good habit of saving a little money out of your paycheck just in case of a rainy day, which is kind of prepping in and of itself, isn't it? Additionally, if you are properly rotating your food supply, using the oldest first and putting the newest in the back, you'll find out soon that you're going to make fewer and fewer runs to the store to get supplies in the first place. I take great pleasure in being able to go to the stockroom when I'm out of ketchup or honey or rice and just grab what I need and carry it back to the kitchen without ever having to start the car. It's like having a convenience store with all your favorite things right in your home. It doesn't get any better than that when you can't work. You still get to maintain both some quality of life and your dignity. What more reason do you need than that? I hope that answers your question and gives you some food for thought, no pun intended. Pop out sometime and visit us on Homestead Chronicles for some great tips on growing, preserving, and using your food storage. Thanks for having me, and have a great day. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.
That's some great stuff from Jo. Thank you for that, Jo. Exactly. I agree completely. I think that that is some great advice. And the reason I really think that's some great advice is I had a very similar situation. And, you just never know when your health's going to fail. You never know when you're going to lose a job. You never know when your life can change dramatically. It very well may be a natural disaster like a tornado or a hurricane or something like that that makes you realize the importance of prepping. But it just as easily could be a job loss or a failing health situation. So absolutely great advice there. And I do believe, maybe 3 months of food is a good number, 6 months of food, because you just don't know. I've mentioned it before in past podcasts, but at one point I was at 39 years old, I was diagnosed with stage 3 colon cancer and was off of work for several months getting chemo treatments and surgery and such. And I'll just tell you, if at that point, we weren't as prepared as we are now, and to not have enough food in the house, not even be prepared financially for something like that, it makes you think about it. And to this day, I know now that preparing for disaster is very important. It nearly bankrupted us at one point just because of the financial turmoil of it. And honestly, at that time, if it wasn't for the kindness of church family and friends reaching out and helping, it would have been a tough thing to go through. And here a few years later, I can honestly say we're in better shape and a better position for that now if something like that would happen. Still not where I'd like to be, but better. And I think you're being naive if you think that these things could never happen to you. And you're just closing your eyes and hoping, basically, that it doesn't. But we need to go into things with our eyes open, because every one of us, at some point in our life, is going to face some kind of disaster. I really believe that. I mean, nobody's immune to it completely. It's just a matter of when. And to the degree. It may be a minor thing. It may very well be major. And you just don't know. That's why we prep. That's why we prepare. It's why I homestead. It's why I grow gardens. It's why I raise livestock. It's why I do put food up. It's why you want to be out of debt. It's why you want to save money. These are preparations for rainy days. It's not nuts to do something like that. It's smart. It's preparing. It's being prepared for a worst case scenario. Now, what you believe that worst case scenario may be may make you borderline nuts. I've met a few people, and I just shook my head at them and said, no, the zombies aren't attacking tomorrow. Don't worry about that. What you got to worry about is very real situations, realistic situations that can bring disaster into your life. Met many people that wish they would had something put back for those kind of days. So great stuff from Jo. I highly encourage you to go check out her website, homesteadchronicles.com. It's a great website. Jo's very active on Facebook and her social media, so I'll have some links for all of that in the show notes. So definitely go check out her stuff. And if you want to see the show notes for this episode, go to smalltownhomestead.com/prepared. And check back with us in a couple days. We're going to have another great question and answer for you. And until then, happy homesteading. God bless.
Thanks for listening. To see the show notes for this podcast or listen to other podcast episodes, go to smalltownhomestead.com. There you can also read our blog, connect with us on Facebook, Twitter, and Google+, and take advantage of the many resources we make available to help you along in your homesteading journey. Please share this podcast and help us to carry out our mission of helping others to homestead today for a better tomorrow.